former Governor Goje for anti-party activities. Of course, expulsion here and there from the political parties. Again, striking workers block access to international airports. As the warning strike of aviation sector workers enters the second day. Of course, there's also threat by them to totally shut down airports as their strike continues. Now let's move on to the Guardian newspaper of this morning and find the version that Guardian newspaper is serving us this morning. On the front page, you find this political matter. Of course, political cum electoral matter. All eyes on judiciary as Nigerians await hearing on election petitions. Of course, many people really waiting to know what would become of the array of petitions that have risen from the electoral process. Page 6 of the Guardian newspaper houses that story. Fintiri last, reckless wreck faces prosecution. Play on words that you say, reckless wreck faces prosecution. Court voids Oluomo's parks and garages, revalidates return. Of course, that's the version of the Guardian newspaper as far as that story is concerned. And you find many other stories there in the Guardian newspaper. We move to yet another tabloid this morning. Let's go to This Day newspaper. On the front page of This Day newspaper, you also find some stories there. Of course, the leading story is also from Adamawa. I think Adamawa is the home of breaking news, as it were, in the last few days now. After falling in the prison electoral coup, INEC declares Fintiri re-elected. Of course, that story cannot just stay alone, it comes with riders. So, on This Day newspaper, it also has some riders. IGP replaces Adamawa CP, moves to probe malfeasance. INEC writes police demands prosecution of Ari others. How court declined Binani's emergency application. Of course, we also took that the other time. This day says it's an emergency application. PDP says what happened was akin to attempted civilian coup. Yaga wants all security personnel involved in electoral fraud tried. Well, I think the call of Yaga in this respect is something that many people have also been really calling for. Just as we discussed here on Monday, what happened in Adamawa State, to find the police officers, senior police officers, sat right beside the wreck when the attempted, of course as described by many, attempted civilian coup was taking place. Do we say they do not know the law? Do we say they are ignorant of the electoral law? I don't know. So, of course, Yaga Africa is also lending its voice to the call for trial of police officers and security personnel who committed one infraction or the other as far as the 2023 general election is concerned. It is a call in the right direction, I must say. Situation room pushes for fresh electoral reforms. Right? Reforms every time. But then, the reforms we have are stories you find on the front page of This Day newspaper. Okay, let's move on to some other issues. I'm now running to another newspaper. Let's check another paper here to see more stories. Of course, talking from the oil sector in This Day newspaper. This one says operators seek alignment between UPRC and MDPRA in oil regulation. Komalafe admit bringing what many have called bureaucratic bottleneck and ineffectiveness of policies. Let's check from the website. Such jungle justice among motorcycle operators. Of course, that you find that one there. We will continue to provide enabling atmosphere for economic development. That's coming from the state government. Acting Governor Aida Tiwa made the assertion Then you also find this one coming from the legislature. ODHA passes bill establishing Cocoa Revolution Agency. I think that's talking about agricultural development there. Check details from the website of Orange 94.5 FM. You ask me, www.orangefm.com.ng. You find details of the stories there. And ODSG flags off commencement of 2023 promotion exercise for workers. Of course, that's there also. Adamawa Fintiri floors Aisha Dahiru. INEC reports wreck to Buhari. Lagos sues. That's not just funny, but I know the teenager will also know that it's not a funny thing anymore. Making a fake call to fire service, telling them there's a fire incident when there is none, and then making the workers of that reader to risk their lives and go all out to want to salvage an emergency situation. Getting there, they discovered that it was all false. Eventually, it was picked up, and well, we'll be facing the court this morning. More stories. Those unprivileged Muslims to be given to the less privileged in society. The council therefore appeals to all concerned to ensure that they do not only comply but also comply on time, he said. The Sultan felicitates Muslim and indeed the entire Muslim world on the auspicious social vices, and they focus solely on the command of Almighty Allah. Now that Ramadan is winding up, it's not time to go back to those things. Let's continue in the practice of holiness and piety as recommended by the holy prophets. Going to the foreign scene, you find this one. Public broadcasters accuse Russia of plans to sabotage wind farms in North Sea. Of course, police accuse this man who allegedly killed 20-year-old of not showing remorse. That's a sad one there. US warns Russia against attacking its nuclear plant in Ukraine. This issue of Ukraine-Russia onslaught seems not to be coming to an end still. Sunshine Stars from the sporting arena. Sunshine Stars record FIBA bans Russia and Belarus from 2024 Olympics. Real Madrid cruise to Champions League semi-finals with a 2-0 win over Chelsea. Well, sorry Chelsea. Osimhen scores as AC Red.